Well, hi there. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. You are watching Fridays with Sandy. That would be Sandy Kreisberg. And, we know that round one is right around the corner. If you need some fast help, Sandy's there to do it. And of course, round two, which is always the big round, the final round for a mainstream MBA candidate to Harvard Business School. Sandy is right there as well. We have today a candidate who wants to go to Harvard, but also a lot of the other really great schools in the game. There are a bunch of them he's selected, but I want to introduce him first and then get to that. So Joe is in a highly selective leadership program at a major insurance company. He graduated from USC with a degree in computer science and business. He has a really impressive GMAT score. It's a
Can we deal with their GPA, John?
Sure. The GPA is 3.35, which is below some of the schools that he intends to apply for. His GMAT focus score is 695, which translates into a
Okay,
740,
folks,
750.
take a breath here. We're now dealing with the GMAT focus, which is
Indeed.
different than the GMAT.
Yep.
So you gotta bone up on this. There's a lot of places on the internet where you can translate the score. So, John, what was your GMAT focus? What was your GMAT focus?
His GMAT focus score is 695, right, Joe?
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Yeah. And that translates
And
into a 740, 750 on the old
yeah,
calc.
that translates to a 740.
Yeah. And now Joe is a senior associate software engineer in a leadership development rotational program. He intends to apply to Harvard, Stanford, MIT Sloan, Kellogg, Berkeley, Haas, Dartmouth, Tuck, Michigan Ross, and UCLA Anderson. He's aiming to apply a year from now, so in the next cycle, not the forthcoming one, when he'll have 3 full years of work experience in his background. So, what do you make of this?
You're a very powerful candidate. The business schools would like people from Prudential because they usually don't get them. Prudential is one of these old style lifetime employers where the expectation is your father worked there, you start working there, you spend your whole life there. That would be a very interesting character to have in a business school class. So the Prudential thing is a real plus, and then it's just overcoming the fact that it wasn't a quote unquote selective employer. But what's your answer to that?
My answer to that would be the rotational program that I'm in. It's the first year that they're running it, but it's a pretty selective group to be in within the company. There's about 20 of us in the first year of the program.
Yeah. So, and how do you know it's selective?
They told us that only certain people who were given the offers were eligible to be part of this program.
Oh, so it was even selective among those people who were hired by Prudential.
Right.
And also, what's your opinion of what's your opinion of your colleagues?
I think they're all very smart, very good at what they do. Almost all of us come from, pretty selective undergraduate colleges and universities. So
Yeah, that's the indicator of selectiveness, right? So that is a plus, and I think schools would be really interested in accepting people from Prudential for the reasons I mentioned. And you're in a I don't know if we said this, you're in a leadership development program. You want to tell some of the newbies at home what that is?
yeah, so as we've talked about, like Prudential is kind of an old school kind of company, but they want to modernize their technology. So we were kind of brought on as people to kind of rotate throughout the company. In our first 2 years, we're going to have three different roles within the company in different aspects, different businesses. And we're kind of just supposed to evaluate what these businesses are doing and how we can modernize and improve their technology.
So how has it been so far? How many rotations have you had?
The first one was a year long. That was actually with PGIM, which was Prudential's asset management arm. And I finished that one up in July, and I'm a little over a month into my second
Okay, what
rotation.
was that like? Because that's just asset management is asset management. It's not life insurance, right?
Yeah, it was definitely quite a bit different. The team that I worked on, we were pretty much modernizing their digital asset manager, which you can kind of think of as just the way that business people can change what's on the website. So if you want to change an article to have some different pictures or something like that, it's just the framework that they can do that with.
I don't fully understand that. What did you do, and who was it? Was this an internal project for who your customers were Prudential people?
Um, the customers were Prudential people. We were responsible for everything on pgym.com, but specifically the content being uploaded to pgym.com. So it was just a way that
By
people,
whom?
they were the PGIM businesses, like the different associates that ran the businesses.
So they were executives. They weren't agents, right?
Right. Yeah, they were like VP level and higher.
Yeah. You just got to deal with this. People think of Prudential, they think of insurance, they think of insurance agents. You got to take that into explaining something.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
It's real important. It's not what we're talking about here, but answers like that, you can flunk an interview, man. It was heartbreaking given everything you've accomplished.
I appreciate that. Yeah,
We'll
definitely
deal with
important.
interviews. Yeah.
Now, Sandy, you asked about his GPA in our introduction, and it's because you think it could be something of a red flag here. Explain why.
GPA is important. Schools care about it because of the rankings. It's that simple. Well, they care about it mostly because of the rankings, and to some extent, some people actually believe that, you know, if you got a low GPA, it's like you couldn't do the work here. But it's mostly the rankings.
Yeah, and in this case, you Stanford's at 3.77, Harvard at 3.73, Kellogg at 3.70. And
Yeah,
basically,
those are tough numbers to overcome. What's
yeah.
your answer to that, Joe?
I would really point to how much I had to work to get through college, both through my e-commerce business as well as working graveyard shifts, at the university dormitories and libraries and all that kind of stuff.
So you were working the graveyard shift to earn money to pay for your tuition, and you were having an e-commerce business on an existing platform, eBay, that generated hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue to help pay for your tuition.
Right. The margins weren't great on the business, but the revenue was, 400 something thousand dollars. So
Yeah, more also, it took a lot of time and you enjoyed it, and it's really impressive.
yeah, it was kind of fun in a way to be able to be responsible for something so end to end, have the responsibility all fall on me. I learned a lot through that as well.
How did you start that, and who were your targets? Just tell me about your e-commerce retail business.
So it was all about what I know. I'm into computers and I'm into toys, like old vintage toys. Those are things that I know. So I would just scour marketplaces, Facebook Marketplace, other eBay listings. I would look at Craigslist, all of these things, and I would try to find where can I extract value, buy something, send it off to a company that grades stuff. Pretty much it says how good or bad the condition is of the item, and then sell it once it gets back from that company.
There's such a company.
Yeah, there is a company for pretty much any kind of collectible, sports trading cards, everything. These people that are really into collecting things, they want to have the best of the best, and they really care about the condition of those items.
So you would put that as part of the listing, graded as good by this grading company, right?
Right. Yeah.
They're a well-known item in the collectible world.
Yeah, exactly. It was really a boon to the value of something if it got graded and came back as a positive grade. So it would be a big part of the listing, a big part of the marketing.
And you're an expert in Star Wars figures, right?
A lot of Star Wars, yeah.
Is the market? How's the market for Star Wars figures? Is that going? Is it becoming? Are figures becoming more valuable or less valuable? Have other things captured the imagination?
Sandy, it's like cryptocurrency.
At the time that I was really into it, it was a good time to be in it because people were getting their stimulus checks from COVID and they were looking for ways to spend those stimulus checks. So the prices of things were going up quite a bit at the time. They've stabilized in the years since, but at the time it was a good time to be doing what I was doing.
Now, Joe, you want to become, with your MBA, a product manager at a tech firm or a fintech
Yeah, now
company.
let me ask this question, John. Joe, Pretend this is an interview. Give me tell me what job you want after you graduate from business school, what your second job would be after that, and what what you would like to be at the end of the long and winding road.
So I've always been interested in the intersection between technology and business. That's why I majored in both in colleges and college undergraduate. And I kind of want to always continue to find that middle ground between business and technology. So after I'm a product manager, I would eventually want to be part of the strategy of a
No,
technology.
name a job in a company
I would want to. I mean,
or
it's
a
tough
type
to.
of company. I would want to be a X or a Y or a Z at companies like A, B, and C. That is the great way to answer questions in business school. And
My favorite product is Google Maps. I love Google Maps. So to be the head of a whole product, such as Google Maps or something like that, like Facebook
that
Marketplace,
doesn't sound like a starting job.
no. So you kind of have to be a product manager and then work into that
So
kind of field.
yeah, I'm looking at you should be able to have, you and all the other boys and girls out there should be able to have a career roadmap, even if it, probably is not going to come true. It's just
Yeah.
a helpful thing to have.
My roadmap would be to be a product manager and then to kind of become a people manager of product managers and then to kind of eventually run an entire product within a big technology
Great
company.
that answer, John.
Well, I think you want to say I want to be a product manager at Google, Amazon, or Microsoft.
I'd like big companies.
Yeah.
I'd like to be a project manager, which includes doing things like A and B. What I like about the project manager job is there's a people part and a business part. You get the picture?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
and accountability with P&L responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's hear it. This is important for you. It's important for our listeners too, since you do get asked this question. Believe me.
So what do you want to do when you graduate with your MBA?
I want to be a product manager for a large technology company such as Google, Amazon, Apple, or Microsoft.
Okay, is that an entry level job?
Yes, that is a common entry job for MBAs in tech.
Okay, and then what? Then it's
Uh,
over.
No, and then you want to do that because why? You want the experience of managing people and managing operations and having the accountability of a P&L.
right, exactly.
Good. Tell me three people you admire. This is something else everybody needs in their pocket. Three business people. They don't have to be. I don't have to know them. Although sometimes they say, well, you should be able to answer the question both ways. Tell me three people we both know that you admire, or just tell me three people you admire and why.
I knew this would come up. This is the question I see all the time on your videos. But I would say that I can't think of the names right now. I'm not really in the interview prep part of my, um,
Yeah,
journey.
that's okay. Just who we'll figure it out. Who are they?
Um, One thing I would say is there's a company Atlassian that does a lot of good work with in the tech space. They're based out of Australia, which I believe is a really underserved market in technology. And I like that they've taken advantage of that market and have made a product that's used worldwide.
You're not talking about the leader. You're talking about the company.
Yeah,
What you
Yeah.
should say is,
true.
I admire the CEO of this company, this rather obscure company in Australia. What he's done is he inherited a company that was doing this, and he was able to both raise money and then, which is a lot of people can do, and then use the money wisely. What he did was for 2 years, he did this and he did that. You get it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, everybody watching this video should have a lot of stories like that in their back pocket. Both business leaders they admire and why, and even you know, uh, profession other people besides Barack Obama.
Yeah, it would be something that I would have to get down when I'm really doing my prep for interviews to have,
Yeah,
3 or 5
good,
people that I can spit out and give their miniature life story.
Now, I
good.
think your most powerful story is your personal story. Your mom was laid off during COVID. you were having some issues with your parents because they were falling apart. And you had to basically get through all that, raise the money to put yourself through college.
Right.
And that's a big deal. That explains the graveyard shifts. That explains the e-commerce company. And it's a testimony towards your resilience, your ambition, and your ability to do hard work. That really is key to your success at these highly
How do you
selected
get that in the application, John?
essays.
Well, how would you get it in the Harvard application?
Yeah, well, now we have new questions at Harvard Business School this year. I happen to think that they're not all that good. I bet you think the
I
same.
agree with you, but
Yeah, and I think they're going to get changed for next year when Joe applies.
maybe, or did they say that? Anyway,
No, they didn't say that, but I think that the overwhelming criticism over these.
how would you get it into this year? Just amuse me. How would you get it into this year's app?
Well, the best question of the new questions is the one about curiosity. So, but I don't know how that applies to his story,
One
Yeah,
thing,
I agree with you. Curiosity was an odd word in that question. Do you know what does the question say exactly?
So, there's a business-minded question, a leadership-focused question, and a growth-oriented question, right? The three. The growth one is we will look for ways in which you've grown, developed, and how you engage. So they're
I
asking
would
if
focus on that part.
included.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that is one way to play
But
it.
what exactly is the prompt? I want to see if I can transition it.
Curiosity can be seen in many ways. Please share an example of how you have demonstrated curiosity and how that has influenced your growth. That's one. The other one is what experiences have shaped who you are, how you invest in others, and what kind of leader you want to become.
Yeah,
And then
that's where you get the family story,
yeah,
obviously.
and then here's the one. Please reflect on how your experiences have influenced your career choices and aspirations and the impact you will have on the businesses, organizations, and communities you plan to serve. Yike.
That's almost the second question. Anyway, you can get good luck, Joe. You can get your story in there.
Yeah, you
Uh,
probably get the different pieces of this because,
yeah, but it's not a reach, man. I mean, the second one is kind of just asking for your
yeah.
life.
yeah. And also kind of thinking about hearing those questions. I know one of the big ones that Stanford asks is what matters most and why. And I feel like
Yes.
that's one that I could probably
Yeah,
weave.
thank God for Stanford. That is Stanford is true to the old school, the famous Stanford question: what matters most and why?
It is a classic and it's a class act, put it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think Joe's chances are at the two most highly selective schools in the world, Harvard and Stanford? Sandy's looking into his crystal ball right now.
If you can optimize the applications, in other words, if you can get in your powerful life story, and well, yeah, you got a high GMAT, and then if you could just contextualize the GPA, I think your chances of getting interviewed at Harvard are like getting interviewed, and there's still another big step there. But
Yeah.
I think your chances of getting interviewed at Harvard are like 20%.
And Stanford?
Yeah, 15%. Although, boy, if you got a Stanford story.
And then we have MIT Sloan, Joe is a software engineer. Um,
Yeah, I
that,
think Sloan would like this guy
yeah,
because
I think Kellogg would like him too.
Kellogg for sure would like him. Yeah, your chances of admission to Kellogg are boy 30-40%.
I'd be
Maybe.
thrilled with Kellogg personally. Northwestern was my dream school for undergraduates. To be able to go to Kellogg and kind of complete that 12-year journey of, going to Evanston would be very cool.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And at those odds, that's double their admission rate, essentially. So Berkeley Haas, Dartmouth, Tuck, Michigan Ross, UCLA, Anderson, I think your chances are pretty good as well, don't you?
Well, at those schools, you kind of have to convince them that we say this all the time. You have to convince them you really want to go.
Yeah.
Because
Because they'll think
people
you're
use them
good
as
enough to go elsewhere.
yeah,
Yeah.
safe school.
So that's
Like
like,
Anderson's going to go, come on, this guy doesn't want to go here. He's just.
But actually UCLA would be a great place for you. Any of these schools would be. I mean, they're all spectacular MBA experiences. They really are. Here's the other beautiful thing. Now, Joe's only been out of college for, is it 2 years now?
a little over a year.
Okay, a little over a year. So by applying, basically he'd have 3 years of work experience at matriculation. So you will apply early enough so that if you don't get what you want, you can reapply.
Yeah.
But I think, you got good background here. You've already been promoted. You're expecting a second promotion at your insurance company. And GMAT's really good. You got a great personal narrative story here.
Here, one of the things you have to do is manage your recommenders to explain what this leadership development program is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And you need to
That's
cultivate
really
that.
important. You've got to kind of prepare. I don't know, just in your mind, think about who you're gonna use for recommenders. Will they be able to talk at length about the leadership development program?
I think so, and obviously I could help coach them through it.
You really got to prepare them for it.
Since I just finished up with my first rotation, I've been thinking a lot about who I could ask for recommendation from that first rotation. And I
Attaboy.
went to the product manager on my team from that rotation. Since I want to be a product manager, I think that would be a good story. I also had a good relationship with them on the team. I kind of wanted to take on extra assignments, be in extra meetings to meet with the businesses more. And they took me up on that offer.
Keep in touch with that guy, even though you left that particular rotation. Stay in touch.
These are real. John is good at this. These are real life skills.
Stay in touch with him. Go and say, hey, can we have a coffee? I want to talk to you about something that I'm dealing with right now. I want to get your advice. Bring him in close, and I mean, you'll be a beneficiary of his mentorship for sure. But more importantly, you're going to cement and cultivate him as a terrific recommender.
Good life advice for anyone as well. Good life and business advice.
Yeah, so that will matter a lot, believe me. Sandy is totally right on that. And otherwise, you're in a good place. You don't need to take the GMAT again, right?
HBS is going to be interesting, man. I'm really interested in how this works out for you there.
Yeah. I look, we think you can do well. The other thing I've noticed in our brief conversation with you is that you are articulate, you're clear, you're concise, you come across well. That's going to serve you exceptionally well when you meet people in admissions at these schools, and if and when you get interviews. Don't you think, Sandy?
Yeah, you're a likable guy. You're an attractive guy in the business sense. I think you could be a little more relaxed, if you know what I'm saying here.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Don't come off cocky or arrogant. You don't now.
That's not his problem.
Yeah. No.
Problem is he's reserved.
I kind of like it. He's a very humble guy. I like that. And he's a planner.
Let's not split hairs. There's a difference between being humble in a good sense and humble in a bad sense. And there's a difference between being quiet and a difference between being reserved. We're applying a business school, John, not divinity school here. It's a famous quote of mine, It's business school. All right.
And with that, I will say, in nomine Patris et Filii Spiritus Sancti, amen. Good luck to you, Joe. And Sandy, thanks once again.
Yeah. Hey, Joe, thanks for being a good sport.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Good
doing
luck,
this. I
really.
appreciate it.
And let us know how it all turns out. Okay. Good luck to you. And
Okay.
for all of you out there, thanks for watching Fridays with Sandy.